Hey everyone, if you're new here, my name's Lottie, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you, but where I live, it finally is feeling a lot like summer. I am entering my summer mindset, my summer era. I have my Book Girl summer tee on today, and I have this charm necklace that has like coastal shells and stuff on it. I'm just truly ready to like fully immerse myself in the summer vibes. And I thought, what better way to do that than to kick us off with a what to read this summer video. I actually did one of these back in the spring as well, and you guys really seemed to like it. So wanted to do another one for the summer season. I think the first official day of summer in the Northern Hemisphere is June 20th. So I feel like we've timed this well. In today's video, we have 4 different sections, and each section has 5 book recommendations in it. So 20 books total. I'm going to timestamp everything out down below. So feel free to skip around, do you have fun. Okay, I don't think anyone can talk about their favorite beach reads without mentioning Elin Hilderbrand, so I thought we would just knock this out of the way first. Elin Hilderbrand is like the queen of beach reads. That is her claim to fame, and she has a backlist of like so many bangers. Elin Hilderbrand lives in Nantucket, so a lot of her books are set there, so if you're really looking for that like coastal New England summer vibe, her books are great for that. I've read 3 books from her, and The Hotel Nantucket has definitely been my favorite. I think this one came out in 2022. I loved this book. It was so great. This book specifically is about a historic hotel in Nantucket that's being revived and reopened, and it follows kind of all of the hotel staff as they reopen the hotel. So you switch POVs quite a bit throughout this book, but you are following like one main POV, which is the hotel manager. The cast of characters in this book is so much fun, and part of the reason you're mostly kind of following the manager and part of the plot here is that there's this new like owner of the hotel who's reviving it, and he really cares about this one like faceless undercover travel influencer who goes around to hotels and stays there like anonymously and then rates them on her really famous travel blog. So the new owner of the hotel, not the manager, but the person who like bought it and is reviving it, has said to the manager that we're following that he really cares about getting the 5 keys. It's like 5 stars from this like influencer. But the catch is that like you never know which guest could be that influencer. So it's just super interesting to see the staff kind of like crashing out over every single guest, being like, oh my gosh, like this can't go wrong. Like what if this is the travel influencer? Which I know maybe that sounds like a silly plot, but there's a lot more to this book than just that part of the plot. But it's just a fun one, and Elin Hilderbrand's writing is so like atmospheric. You feel so transported. It's so descriptive, and like there's great descriptions of food and the setting. It's just a great beach read, and I don't think I need to sit here and yap on about Elin Hilderbrand for too long, but if you haven't read anything from her, let this be your sign to try out an Elin Hilderbrand book this summer. Okay, my next summer favorite is actually Summer Fridays by Suzanne Rundell. I love this book. I will not stop talking about it. I read it last summer in a reading vlog and have not shut up about it. This book right here is for my city girls. If you're having a city girl summer, I think you could love this. Also, if Friends is your comfort TV show, this is your book. The reason I say that is that this book is set in summer of 1999 in New York City. So it predates smartphones. The internet's not like a big thing yet. It's an offline summer, which, the dream, I say to you from youtube.com. This book reads like a Nora Ephron movie. You guys have to read it. Like, I don't hear enough people talking about this, so I'm here on my soapbox telling you to read it. I will say, if you have major issues with like a little bit of a cheating trope, maybe not the book for you, but like, let's leave room for nuance. It's not like malicious. It didn't bother me. Throughout this book, you're following 20-something Sawyer, who lives in New York City with her fiance, and Sawyer is staying pretty booked and busy between her job in publishing and trying to plan her wedding, but she's finding at the end of the day or on the weekends, she's pretty lonely. Sawyer's fiance has been spending longer and longer hours at work, staying really late at the office at night, and getting close to a female colleague, Kendra, which we're all kind of side-eyeing because like, why is my girl Sawyer's fiance spending more time with Kendra than he is with our girl Sawyer? So the kind of setup of this book is that Sawyer gets dragged to a work dinner with her fiance, and Kendra is actually there too, and she's there with her boyfriend, Nick. So while they're all at this work dinner, Sawyer becomes friends with Kendra's boyfriend, and they kind of bond over the fact that their partners are like never home. They're working these really late hours, and that they're both really lonely. And so they're like, okay, well, let's not let them like ruin all the fun. Why don't we go and like do some fun stuff on Summer Fridays when we get off from work a little bit early, and we can go explore New York together. The writing style reminded me a lot of Emily Henry, and I haven't heard enough about this book. So if this sounds good, please read it and like tag me if you like read it in your story or anything. I really want to see more people reading this summer because it's so good. The next book that is an ultimate beach read for me is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. If you guys saw a couple videos ago, I was just gushing over this book. I absolutely loved this book. This is a new release this year, and it's been my favorite, one of my favorites of, I think, the whole year so far, honestly. If you haven't read anything by Carly Fortune, her books are for my girls who are having a lake girl summer, for sure. Essentially, One Golden Summer follows Alice and Charlie. It's a contemporary romance. Charlie is actually the older brother from Carly Fortune's debut novel, Every Summer After. I definitely would recommend reading this before reading One Golden Summer. They're kind of companion novels. I just think you got to do your homework before you can get to the new juicy stuff. But this one's juicy too, honestly. This is a really great book. I actually just did a reread of this one before I read One Golden Summer. If you already read Every Summer After, like a couple years back, and you don't really remember it that well, I don't know that you have to reread it. If you remember the gist of Every Summer After, you're probably good. Carly Fortune's writing, it just transports you. I can smell the salt in the air. I can feel the wind in my hair. Like, it's just chef's kiss. All right, my fourth seasonal fave that I wanted to share in this video is actually one that I just read like 2 weeks ago, and that's Passion Project by London Sperry. I put this on my June TBR and read it like right away. This one reminds me a lot of Promise Me Sunshine and kind of Summer Fridays too. They all kind of have this like New York, almost like bucket list or like, you know, doing things to like cheer yourself up kind of a vibe. But this is actually a debut novel from London Sperry, and the writing was phenomenal. It really stuck out to me. Again, reminding me a lot of Emily Henry's writing. So if you're feeling like you're in a drought, you blew through Great Big Beautiful Life and you're like, I need more Emily Henry, this one and Summer Fridays, I feel like both kind of fill that void. This was flirty. I love this. I ate it up, read it so quickly. There were a few things about this book and this plot that weren't like perfect to me. It was a 4-star for me, but it's honestly so fun to read in the summer, especially like I said, if you're having a city girl summer. It basically follows Bennett, who's kind of just like adrift and like without purpose, and she's just feeling lost. And then she meets Henry, and they decide to do this thing called like the Passion Project, and they go and they like try new things to help like find their passion. So they do like a cooking class, or like they go, I don't want to spoil the different things they do, but they go on different adventures together and they do this passion project. I'm pretty sure it takes place over the summer if I'm remembering correctly, which is part of the reason I feel like it's a fun like summer vibe. This is kind of a new one that I think deserves a little more buzz because it was great. Okay, and then my last seasonal favorite I want to shout out today is not a romance. I know I've just been like sharing all romances for the past couple of recs, but did want to spotlight another genre. I think in my head, I just think of romance as such a summer genre. Like I want to go to the beach and I just want to like giggle, sit back, sip a frozen cocktail and enjoy my little romance book. But I will say, sometimes you need a little palate cleanser in between some of the romance books, because if you're just reading them back to back, sometimes they start to lose their charm a little bit. And that's where my rec for Darling Girls comes in. Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth is a mystery thriller novel. I read this last year and I just read it at the absolute right time and I ended up loving it. I don't know if I'd go on record that like this is one of the best thrillers ever, but it just was one of those ones that, like I said, hit for me at the right time. I feel like this one is such a summery one because of the cover with the pool and stuff. This book follows Jessica, Nora, and Alicia, who are 3 foster sisters, and you switch POVs every chapter between the 3 of them. And as young girls, they were all rescued from some family tragedy, and then they were brought to Miss Fairchild, who raised them. They were always told, oh, how lucky you are, but life with Miss Fairchild wasn't exactly what it looked like on the surface. Now the 3 girls are all grown up, but when a body is discovered under the home that they grew up in with Miss Fairchild, questions come up, the past comes back around, and I'm pretty sure there's like past and present timelines as well as the 3 different POVs in this book, which was also super interesting. And this is a good thriller if you like something that's a little bit more of like a domestic drama. I feel like this is the right level of scary for me, and I just think it's a nice kind of palate cleanser if you are looking for a good thriller to read this summer. Okay, next up, let's talk about some new releases that caught my eye. I did a little bit of research looking into some good summer beach reads, but ones that aren't like the ones that everyone's talking about right now. Just that if you're looking for something a little bit different or just something new to kind of mix it up, I wanted to share these. First up, we have Saltwater by Katie Hayes. This one is a mystery thriller, and I think the cover on this one is just like so cool. If you like a family drama, I think you could really like this one. It's actually set in Capri, Italy. So if you're having an Italian summer, this could be a fun one to read. But the basic plot of this one is that back in 1992, Sarah is found dead at the bottom of these cliffs in Capri, leaving behind her 3-year-old daughter, Helen. Some people think that Sarah's family was involved somehow, but the death is ultimately ruled as an accident. And every year, her family actually returns to Capri at the anniversary of her death to like prove that they weren't involved, I guess. But then on the 30th anniversary of Sarah's Sarah's death, they show up again that summer and find her necklace waiting for them at the villa that they're staying at. Sarah's necklace from the night she died. Everyone in the family starts like losing it and coming after each other, and the case is reopened. I think you've got this great combination of this like gorgeous setting, but with this like morally gray family and like a lot of tension and like twists and turns. And I feel like it could just be a really great mystery to kind of throw in the mix this summer. It doesn't seem like it'd be too scary. Again, more of that like family drama subgenre that is just like the right amount of scary for me. Okay, the next new release that looked really good to me is called Sunburned by Catherine Wood. This is actually another mystery thriller, and this one's coming out July 1st. I think this one is set at St. Bart's, and it follows Audrey, whose ex-boyfriend Tyson calls her and basically is like, I'm gonna let all these skeletons out of your closet if you don't help me figure out who's blackmailing me right now. Audrey and Tyson broke up like over a decade ago, but she really has no choice but to help him. I'm curious if this one might have a little bit of romance in it too, or just like tension because of the exes being together, but ultimately I do think it's like a mystery, and we're trying to figure out like who's blackmailing Tyson, and just lots of old skeletons are kind of like brought out of everyone's closets. Another new release that I saw that looked really good is called Salty. Also, this cover is so pretty. It's by Kate Myers, and this one comes out June 24th. I think this one's a little bit more of like a comedy fiction mystery kind of blend. Not so much thrilling, more so just like a little bit of a mystery, but mostly lit fic kind of vibe. It takes us to a tropical marina where you're following two sisters who reunite working on a luxury yacht, and they want to take down the owner of the yacht who destroyed their childhood home. I think the two sisters are pretty different, so I'm sure it'd be interesting to kind of see their dynamic together as they kind of unite and come back together. I've heard this one is like a blend of like Below Deck and The White Lotus, so if you like those, you may like this one. New release number 4 that is on my radar actually came out back in May, and it's called Main Characters. And this one's been described as the Parent Trap for adults in book form, which sign me up. This is another one for everyone who's having a lake girl summer, I think specifically. I'm pretty sure this book follows the story of two half-sisters who meet for the first time at their father's lake house, who recently unexpectedly passed away. I think the two half-sisters are very different, and their father kind of kept them apart. And every summer, one of the sisters would come for 1 month and the other sister would come for the other month. One of the half-sisters did know about the other one, but the other one was totally in the dark, which I think makes it a lot more interesting to kind of explore that dynamic. There's like got to be a lot more like resentment or like tension built up. I've heard it's a great book for fans of Carly Fortune and Ellen Hildebrand, and as you know, I love both of them, so I think this one looks really good. Okay, and then the last new release I wanted to shout out in this section is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I know this is more of like a mainstream new release, but it's not quite on my summer TBR because I have a lot of other books I want to read from Frederick Bachman's backlist before I get to this new release, but I wanted to call it out because you definitely don't have to read other books from Frederick Bachman. I just have like my own mental order of like how I want to read his books, but this just seems like a great summer book, and I feel like so many people are talking about it, and I have not heard one bad review about this book. But this is a literary fiction novel that really focuses on the power of art and friendship. I'm pretty sure it's set in the summer, and it follows Louisa. She really wants to know the story behind her favorite piece of art, and it has these 3 friends in the painting, and she goes on this journey to kind of like uncover what their story is. Frederick Bachman's books just are always so packed with charm and humor and insight. They're just some of the best. Okay, those are some of the new releases that caught my eye. They're not on like my immediate summer TBR because there are so many books that I want to read, but I wanted to call them out and wanted to spotlight a few books that I hadn't heard as many people talking about. But now let's talk about my specific summer TBR, the books that I'm dying to get to ASAP. First up, no surprise, is It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. I love Annabelle Monaghan. All her books are great summer reads too. Her release from last summer, Summer Romance, is excellent, and I can't wait to read It's a Love Story this summer. Again, just another good beach read, contemporary romance. This one is like a little bit complicated to explain the plot. It's a little bit like layered with a lot of different characters and dynamics and stuff. I don't feel like I can do it quickly, and so I'm just not going to do it at all. Sometimes with trusted authors, I like to just go in blind because it can be more fun that way. But usually Annabelle Monaghan's books are a little bit more women's fiction. You usually just get one POV of the main female character, which honestly I really like. I feel like she does a great job kind of blending the kind of development of our main female character with a little bit of that romance, and also doing it in a way that doesn't like center the romance with the development, where like the main character is feeling more empowered now because someone loves her. I feel like that is a really hard thing to do sometimes with women's fiction, where the romance isn't like impacting the main female character's relationship with herself. Does that make sense? All that to say, I trust Annabelle Monaghan with this genre, with this kind of book, and I would do anything to have a free weekend at the beach with this book and just be able to sit and read. Where do I sign up? The next book on my summer TBR is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. This is her her new release that just came out this month in June. Can't wait to read this. If you didn't know, Ashley Poston also wrote The 7-Year Slip, which is a super popular contemporary romance novel. Her books almost always feature some kind of magical component. This one specifically has a little bit more of a focus on music, which I'm really interested to see if I'll like or not, because I feel like that can be kind of hit or miss in a book when you can't hear the songs, you know? But honestly, if anyone can do it, I trust it'll be Ashley Poston. Another mainstream, very popular new release that is on my summer TBR is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the same author who wrote Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So if you've read either of those and loved them, you may be interested in picking up this one this summer. This is actually a little bit of like a historical fiction novel, but it's also a love story. And it follows our main female character, Joan, in a 1980s space shuttle program. I'm pretty sure it's with NASA. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot because like I do not know much about the space shuttle program, about NASA. So I'm excited for Taylor Jenkins Reid to educate me and to kind of be immersed in this world and just learn something new. I love her writing style. I have absolutely adored all of her books that I've read. And I'm really excited that she has a new release because it has been a minute since she released Carrie Soto is Back. So she's finally gracing us with a new release and I seriously can't wait to read this. Another book on my personal summer TBR is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I don't have a physical copy of this one, but I'm pretty sure it is on Kindle Unlimited. 7 Days in June is a contemporary romance novel by Tia Williams. I've never read anything from this author and I really have been dying to read one of her books. I really want to read this like in the next week or so before June is over, but it follows two writers who had like a whirlwind romance like 5 or 10 years ago. And then they end up running into each other at like a writer's conference in the present day timeline and kind of reconnecting. And I think it's a little bit of like a second chance. I think it's a little bit more of like an emotional story, which I feel like is just the perfect vibe for one of those days where it's just downpouring, like the torrential summer rain. I just want to sit with this book and my Kindle and have an afternoon. Next available opportunity, that is my plan. And then the fifth and final book on my summer TBR that I want to share with you guys today is from none other than Elsie Silver. I just feel like summer isn't summer without a little Elsie Silver. If there's any season to read her books, I do feel like it's summer. This is the next book that I need to read from her. It's Wild Eyes, which is the second book in the Rose Hill series. If you didn't know, Elsie Silver is kind of the queen of like cowboy romances. Her Chestnut Springs series is kind of her claim to fame, and I feel like what really put her on the map, and those are all on Kindle Unlimited as well. I read almost that entire series last summer and had an absolute blast, and then have started the new series, but haven't made too much progress because I just feel like it's a summer vibe. I felt like I just couldn't go this whole video without mentioning Elsie Silver. These are just really fun and lighthearted, and they're super quick to read. That's it for my summer TBR. Last but not least, let's talk about some Kindle Unlimited selections that I picked out that I think would be great for summer. This section has a blend of books that I have read and books that I haven't, so I will put my stamp of approval on the ones that I've read, but I will note some of them are just recommendations that I think would be fun for summer, but I haven't actually read them yet. Okay, first up, we have The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. Jessa Hastings is the author of the very popular Magnolia Parks series, one of my favorite series. Jessa Hastings' writing is just so good. And everyone who loves the Magnolia Park series has said that this book is quintessential Jessa. It's just as good. I'm so excited to read it. So if you want like a great new release, or if you're interested in reading the Magnolia Parks books, but you want to get a sense for Jessa's writing, you could start with The Conditions of Will and just see what you think. And I just think it would be a fun one to read this summer since so many people have been talking about it. I cannot wait to read this. I'm like kind of saving it for a rainy day because I just know it's going to be amazing. So had to include it in the Kindle Unlimited section. Another Kindle Unlimited summer specific recommendation that I think could be really fun to read is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This is a YA romance. If you love Lynn Painter, you have to read this. I think if you just love that like YA first love, more mature characters, there's not like annoying conflicts because of their immaturity, but just like the real messiness of like young love. Also, if you love Taylor Swift, there are so many good Easter eggs and Taylor Swift references, and I would equate this book to the album Fearless. So if you are in your Fearless era from Taylor Swift, this could be a really fun one. It's also set in Martha's Vineyard, and our main female character, Meredith, lost her sister Claire like a year and a half ago. So you've got a little bit of a grief component there. The annual family vacation in Martha's Vineyard feels like the perfect place for her to kind of like get back out into the world and like start trying to be herself again. And her entire extended family is going to be there in Martha's Vineyard to celebrate a wedding. And there's this family tradition of playing a big game of assassin. So they all do that in Martha's Vineyard, which is really fun. And there's just lots of like fun side characters in this book, and it's just like really sweet, and I loved it. Another really buzzy book that's on Kindle Unlimited that could be great to read this summer is The Thrashers by Julie Soto. This one just came out back in May, and it's a young adult mystery thriller. So basically, I think The Thrashers follows this elite friend group at this high school, and they're everything that everyone wants to be. And our main character that we're following, Jody, is all of a sudden like brought into the Thrashers, and she feels so out of place. But the like head ringleader of the Thrashers was one of her childhood best friends. So she's in, and she's just kind of going with it. But then this girl, Emily, who desperately wanted to be a Thrasher, dies unexpectedly. And our main character, Jody, has to kind of decide if she's going to betray her friends or protect herself. And I think, like I said, with all of the romance I feel like that I'm reading in the summer, I need to throw in some fun mystery thrillers. And I'm pretty sure this is Julie Soto's first go at like a YA mystery, and it's just getting great reviews. Honestly, I've heard so many good things. So, all right, another one on Kindle Unlimited that I think could be great to read in the summer is Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. This one is like a total 180 from some of the other books that I was mentioning on Kindle Unlimited. It is definitely more of like an adult book, and it's just kind of like a weird book, honestly. It's literary fiction, and it's the story of these newlyweds, Lewis and Ren, and for them, their first year of marriage is also their last, because they get the news that Lewis is going to be transitioning into a great white shark. He's literally like mutating into a great white shark. So there's that. It's definitely like speculative fiction, aka kind of like magical realism in that sense, but everything else about the book is grounded in reality. It's just in this world where people can all of a sudden like mutate into almost any other animal, and it's just like a medical condition diagnosis. And that's really able to play as kind of like a metaphor for any kind of fatal diagnosis. And it kind of takes the like specifics of a sickness, so let's say like cancer, Alzheimer's, or something like that, out of the equation, where it's able to be this like broader metaphor. It like simplifies that, and it like strips away the specifics in a way where you're really able to focus on like the beauty and the humanity and the devastation of the story, if that makes any sense at all. It's a very weird and wacky book, though, I will say. I haven't read anything like it, but it's also gorgeous and like has really stuck with me in a way that I didn't expect. So if you just wanted to read something different and something thought-provoking, this is a great one. And I feel like because Lewis is turning into a shark, it kind of reminds me of summer vibes because sharks live in the ocean. You could definitely read this any time of year, but I think the shark piece just made me kind of think of summer. And the fifth and final book on Kindle Unlimited that caught my eye for summer is called Other People's Summers by Sarah Morgan. I actually read a book by Sarah Morgan back around the holidays called The Book Club Hotel. This is a pretty popular like holiday women's fiction / romance kind of novel. I read it in the context of a 24-hour readathon, so I was kind of annoyed with the book for some reasons, but it really wasn't the book's fault, and I did ultimately like the writing. But because I've read something from this author before and really enjoyed it, I was excited to see that she has more of like a summer kind of book on Kindle Unlimited. And this one's actually a new release too. It just came out back in May. I'm pretty sure this book follows a famous actress named Nicole whose life is unraveling. So she flees to this idyllic English lakeside resort where she meets up with her best friend from childhood who she ghosted like many years ago. Ultimately, I think this is much more of like a women's fiction story than it is a romance. It seems like really heartwarming, hopeful, and that was definitely the tone of the other book I read from this author. And I think if you're just looking for like a nice palate cleanser that's just like tender and celebrates friendship and all the many ways that life can surprise us, then this could be a really great book for you. Okay, book besties, that is gonna be it for today's video. Those are all of the book recommendations I have for what to read this summer. Whether you're packing up a beach bag and heading to the beach or the lake, or if you are working this summer and just trying to romanticize your city girl summer, I hope that this list of books had a little bit of something for everyone. And I hope you found at least one new book that you're excited to add to your TBR. If any of these books sounded particularly interesting to you, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any other summer books that are your all-time favorites, I'd love to hear those too. If you made it this far in the video, comment down below with the umbrella emoji so I can know who made it to the end. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up down below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new here so you don't miss a video from me. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I'll see you super soon in another one. Bye!